It started with the sound of the wind against the glass. Every night, the same rhythm. Soft, hollow, like the ocean pretending to breathe. My father used to sit by that window for hours. No TV, no books, just the dark. Hands resting on his knees, shoulders still, eyes somewhere else. He wasn't sleeping much back then. Didn't talk much either. Just that tired smile when I asked if he was okay. Go back to bed, he'd say, softly, like it hurt to speak, and I did. Because that's what kids do. We obey the silence, even when it feels wrong. Mom had been gone 2 years. Cancer. Sudden and cruel. So I thought it was grief. Thought maybe the dark outside reminded him of her. But it wasn't grief. It was something heavier. Something that followed him home. From the deep. He'd been working for a company called Project Hadal. Deep sea research. The kind of work that lives at the edge of what pressure can tolerate. 7 miles down. 8, sometimes. He said the ocean there doesn't move. It waits. At first, he came home proud. Excited. Talked about bioluminescent worms, bacterial forests, vents that glowed red like veins. But each trip made him quieter. His stories stopped. His eyes changed. One night, I woke up to voices. Him. On the phone. Something moved. He whispered. Below the trench line. Pause. No, not a whale. Bigger. I remember the silence that followed. Long. Heavy. Like whoever was on the other end didn't want to know. He quit a month later. Said it was for his health. Moved us inland. A town where the closest thing to an ocean was a lake that dried every summer. But the ocean followed him. Every night, that same window. Every night, that same silence. And one evening, as the sun fell, and the cicadas started their slow, endless scream, he sat beside me on the porch and said, "There's something I need to give you." He pulled a small hard drive from his jacket. Metal casing, scratched, heavy. The cameras didn't fail, he said. I lied to them. I saved the footage. I didn't understand. Footage of what? He just stared past me. At nothing. At everything. Some things down there aren't meant to be seen. But I saw them. And they saw me back. He pressed the drive into my hands. If something happens to me, he said, quietly, don't let them bury this. Promise me that. I promised. Because I thought he was scared of losing his work. I didn't realize. He was scared of what might find it. 3 months later, he was gone. They called it suicide. I called it surrender. I didn't open the drive for weeks. Couldn't. But the night, I did. The house was so quiet, I could hear the wires in the walls hum. Plugged it in. Folder called Hadal Final. And what I saw in that footage made me understand why my father never looked at the ocean again. The night, I finally opened the drive. The house felt like it was holding its breath. No wind. No hum from the fridge. Just me. And that quiet. Heavy enough to press on my ribs. The file was simple Hadeld FNL. MP4 last modified, March 11th, 2031. The day he went down. Alone. I hesitated, my hand hovering over the mouse. Then, I pressed play. Static first, blue and white lines flickering, sound cutting in and out. Then, faint light, a dashboard. Readouts in green. Depth 30, 6,000 feet. Pressure gauge, redlining. Dad's breathing in the mic. Shallow, quick. For a few seconds, nothing. Just the hum of the submersible "oh" and the groan of metal flexing under impossible weight. Then, the sonar pinged. At first, a single blip, then another, then dozens. Shapes appeared on screen, round, pulsing, alive. Not fish, not currents, patterns. Then one shape started moving, bigger than the others, rising. Slowly at first, then faster. Dad's voice, muffled through the headset. No. That can't be right. There's nothing that size registered in this sector. His hands flicked across the controls. The camera shifted toward the viewport. Nothing but blackness. Then, light. Bioluminescence. Not random. Not organic. Symmetrical. Like veins glowing through translucent skin. The camera trembled. Refocused. And that's when I saw it. Something vast. Something moving. With purpose. The sub's floodlights tried to catch it one. But it was too big to fit in frame. Only pieces. Edges of limbs. Shifting plates. Surfaces that looked like skin 1 second. And metal the next. The sonar screamed. The screen filled with one continuous wall of movement. Dad whispered, "Jesus Christ." The sub rocked. Alarms flashing red. Depth gauge spiked. The thing was rising fast. It wasn't chasing. It was following. His breathing turned frantic. Surface. Surface now, he said. Voice trembling. Engines roared. Metal shrieked. But then, it stopped. The movement froze. The sonar went silent. The lights dimmed. Something was blocking them. He looked up. And there it was. For 3 seconds, maybe 4. The viewport filled with an eye. Massive. Pale. Black slit widening. Like a gate. It wasn't just looking at him. It was studying him. Like it had waited. A long time. To be seen. Then, the camera cut out. Just static. But under the static, a sound. Not mechanical. Not sonar. A pulse. Rhythmic, almost like a heartbeat. I watched the file again. And again. Every time. I told myself it was malfunction. Light distortion. Pressure, stress. Anything to make it ordinary. But it wasn't. Because I could feel it too. That pulse. Even after I shut the laptop, it stayed in my chest. That night, I dreamed of water. Not waves, not oceans. Just depth. Endless, suffocating black. Something was moving below me. I couldn't see it. But I knew it could see me. When I woke, I couldn't move for a minute. My hands were shaking. My heart racing. And for a split second, I thought I heard breathing. Not mine, someone else's, coming from the laptop. The screen was dark, but I swear it pulsed once, faintly, like a heartbeat. I slammed it shut. Days passed. I tried to ignore it. Buried myself in school, routine, anything that didn't feel like drowning. But the footage kept scratching at the back of my mind. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that eye, staring through glass. Every reflection looked wrong. Windows, mirrors, puddles after rain. Like something was watching, from the other side. I thought I was losing it. Until the email came. No text. Just an attachment, hey DL redacted. PDF inside, project logs. Coordinates. Dive transcripts. My father's name on 3 of them. Others I didn't recognize, but every record ended the same way. Last line. Visual contact confirmed. Transmission terminated. At the bottom, a signature. Dr. Elise Carver. And a single sentence. One need to talk. I didn't reply. Not right away. But that night, sitting by the same window my father used to stare through, I realized silence was just another kind of surrender. So, I wrote back. You knew my father. You knew what he saw. Tell me the truth. The response came less than an hour later. Meet me. Coffee shop. 3 states over. Tomorrow. Bring the drive. I stared at the message for a long time. The cursor blinked. Waiting. Same rhythm as that pulse. I didn't sleep. Didn't even try. Because somewhere, deep down, I already knew. Whatever my father saw down there hadn't stayed in the dark. It had followed us home. The coffee shop sat on the corner of a quiet street. One of those places that always smelled like burnt beans and rain. I'd been there an hour before she walked in. Every time the door opened, my pulse jumped. When she finally arrived, I almost didn't recognize her. She wasn't what I expected. You imagine scientists as sharp, deliberate, clean. But Elise Carver looked like she hadn't slept in weeks. Hair, uncombed doss. Circles under her eyes. Lab badge still clipped to her coat. Like she'd left in a hurry. She scanned the room once. Then came straight to my table. No greeting. Just a whisper. You brought it. I nodded and slid the hard drive across. She didn't touch it. Just stared at it. Like it might bite. Do you know what's on this? She asked quietly. My father's last dive. The truth. Her jaw tightened. There's more truth in there than you can handle. For a while, neither of us said anything. Rain tapped against the window. Steam hissed from the espresso machine. Normal sounds. But they felt wrong, like background noise in someone else's memory. Finally, she spoke. Your father wasn't the only one. Project Hadal's been active for over a decade. 9 expeditions. 6 confirmed anomalies. Every time, the same report: visual contact. Systems failure, silence. I leaned forward. So it's real. The thing he saw. She hesitated, then nodded. It's real. And it's not alone. That word hung between us. Not alone. She lowered her voice, almost afraid of the sound. We call them the shepherds. They live at depths we can't survive without protection. They control the pressure, the current, even magnetic fields. The ocean is theirs. I wanted to laugh, but couldn't. My throat was dry. What are they? Animals? Machines? She shook her head. We don't know. Every scan returns impossible readings. Like they bend the rules around them. Geometry that doesn't make sense. Energy signatures. Off the scale. And when we record them, She looked at the hard drive again. The data changes. Like it knows it's being watched. The words made the room feel smaller. I could hear my own heartbeat over the rain. Why tell me this? I asked. If this is true, why risk it? Because I'm done hiding, she said. Her eyes lifted. Sharp for the first time. And because we're building something. A way to go back. Safely, this time. What for? Haven't enough people died already? She smiled, not kindly. You don't get it. We can't hide forever. The shepherds are awake. Something changed. If we don't understand them, we won't survive them. Then she leaned forward. Her tone dropping low enough that I had to lean closer just to catch it. There's a group. Scientists, engineers, ex-military. We're building a new submersible. Stronger, faster. Invisible to sonar. We call it Deep Echo. We're going back to where your father was. And this time, we're not coming back empty. I stared at her. You want me to join you? She didn't blink. You already did. The moment you watched that footage. I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. She stood, slid a card across the table. Name, number, no title. When you're ready, she said softly. Bring the drive. We'll need it. Then she walked out. No goodbye. No glance back. The door shut, and the rain outside swallowed the sound. I sat there for a long time. Card in one hand, hard drive in the other. The weight of both felt wrong. Like holding something that wasn't supposed to exist. The rain kept falling. Every droplet against the window sounded like a heartbeat. Steady. Slow. Just like the one in the footage. I didn't know it then. But that was the moment. The ocean started calling me too. 10 years passed. Time didn't move. It sank. Like weight in deep water. Quiet and slow. I went to college. Studied mechanical engineering. Then marine engineering. Then fluid dynamics. Just to understand what pressure does to things that shouldn't survive. I didn't talk about my father. Not once. Didn't talk about Project Hadal. Didn't talk about the drive I kept locked in a drawer. Wrapped in a towel, like it could still burn me. But it never left me. Every decision, every late night, every paper I wrote, all of it led to one thing: the descent. When I turned 27, I called the number on that card. I half expected it to be disconnected. It wasn't. "Carver," she said, picking up on the first ring. "It's me," I said. "I'm ready." Silence for a moment. Then, "Good. We leave in 2 weeks." No details. No hesitation. Like she'd been waiting the entire decade for that call. The launch site wasn't on any map. A private dock in the middle of the South Pacific. Steel platforms, floodlights cutting through fog. The kind of place governments pretend not to know about. And there she was, older, thinner, but the same. That same exhaustion in her eyes. That same quiet obsession burning underneath. She didn't say hello, just nodded toward the water. That's deep echo. It was one. Impossible. 200 tons of reinforced alloy, shaped like a silver bullet. No glass, just cameras, fiber optics, and the thickest hull ever built by human hands. The kind of machine that could stare at the abyss and not blink. "This'll take us to the bottom?" I asked. Her mouth twitched. "It'll take us somewhere." Crew of 6. 3 scientists, 1 pilot, 1 engineer, me, and Carver, of course. They were all like her. People with something missing. You could see it in their faces. That same restless look my father had before he stopped sleeping. No one said why they were there. Didn't need to. You don't go 7 miles down unless you're running from something above. The descent began at midnight. Engines hummed like distant thunder. Outside the viewport, nothing but black water, swallowing the last of the light. At 2 miles, pressure groaned against the hull. At 4, radio static turned into whispers of its own. At 6, instruments began to stutter. Carver checked her readings. Calm, as if she'd expected it. "Everything below this depth behaves differently," she said. Sound, light, even thought. "Thought?" I asked. She didn't look at me. "You'll see. At 36,000 feet, the sea stopped feeling like water. It felt like presence, like something was pushing back." Blinked. Ping. Then, a response, not echo, answer. The screen lit up in patterns, symmetrical, rhythmic. Like a message, like something saying, "I hear you." Then the shape appeared. At first I thought it was terrain, a ridge, a mountain, but it moved, slowly, deliberately, unfolding itself from the darkness. Too large for the sonar to capture fully. We were ants, watching a continent wake. The hull began to shake. Readings spiked off the scale. Cameras flickered. Carver whispered, "It's here." The sub tilted. A current, or maybe something else. And then, through the viewport, light. Not from us. From it. Thousands of pinpricks across the dark, glowing blue, green, violet, each pulse matching our sonar, a heartbeat in sync with ours. I couldn't breathe. "Start recording," Carver said. "Already is," I answered, but my voice sounded wrong. Distant, hollow. The light grew. The shape rose higher, revealing edges that didn't belong in nature. Geometry folding into itself, angles that changed when you looked too long. Not animal, not machine. Something in between. Then everything stopped. All readings flatlined, pressure steady, depth stable. And in that stillness, we heard it. Not through speakers. Not through water. Inside our heads, a voice, deep and cold. "You should not have come back." Every light in the sub flickered. Every bone in my body felt like it wanted to fold in on itself. Carver's hand trembled on the controls. "Do not respond," she whispered. The sonar began to spin, wild, shapes surrounding us. Not one. Many, all closing in. "Emergency ascent!" I yelled. The engines roared. We dropped ballast. Depth numbers crawled upward. 30, 5,000, 30, 4,000. Then something hit us. Not collision, contact. A sound, like a mountain exhaling. Every system screamed. Temperature spiked. Metal bent. And then, silence. The sub stabilized. Pressure equalized. On the monitors, the shapes drifted back. Slowly. Patiently. They weren't attacking. They were watching. And then, as suddenly as it began, the lights faded. All but one. Directly ahead, a single eye. Open and still. Just like the one in my father's footage. It watched us rise. Didn't follow. Didn't stop us. Just watched. When we broke the surface, the night was clear. Stars above, calm water below. No sign of what we'd left behind. Carver sat in silence. The others stared at the sea, as if expecting something to rise after us. I couldn't look away either, because I knew, the way my father had known. It let us go, not because it couldn't stop us, because it wanted us to leave. We docked at dawn. Carver ordered the data secured. Drives copied. Everything encrypted. No one spoke. No one celebrated. No one said the word survived. When she finally turned to me, her voice was a whisper. "They'll come for this. For us. Be ready." She walked away. Before I could ask what she meant, I stood there, watching the sun rise over an ocean that no longer felt like home. And I realized something I wish I hadn't. We hadn't discovered them. We'd reminded them we still existed. The sea was calm when we surfaced. Too calm. No wind, no waves. Just that strange, heavy stillness. Like the ocean was pretending to sleep. We should have been cheering, laughing. We made it back alive. We'd done what no one else had done before. But no one said a word. Carver just sat there, staring out at the horizon, the water catching sunlight like glass. Her hands shook when she pulled the drives from their housing. 6 of them, each one holding hours of data. Sonar, visuals, raw truth. She locked them in a case and whispered, more to herself than anyone. They'll try to erase this. None of us asked who they were. We already knew. By the time we reached port, there were men waiting. No uniforms, no insignia, just black cars and polite smiles. They said they were recovery detail. They said our footage needed to be secured for analysis. Carver didn't even argue. She handed over a decoy case, empty. The real drives stayed with her. Later that night, in the dim light of the cargo hold, she pulled me aside. Never trust anyone who shows up before you call for help, she said. She opened a small locker, false bottom. Inside, a second set of drives. Keep one, she said. If something happens to me, make sure this gets out. Her voice broke slightly on that last word. Out. I took it. Didn't argue. Didn't even breathe. Because part of me already knew, what she was preparing for. 2 days later, she was dead. Car accident, they said. Single vehicle crash. Rain, slick road, no witnesses. The report said she lost control. But Carver didn't lose control of anything. The rest of the crew scattered overnight. 2 took buyouts. 1 disappeared entirely. The pilot jumped ship before we even docked. When I tried to call the others, the numbers didn't exist anymore. The world above the ocean went quiet. And the world below, well, it never stopped listening. For a week, I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the light. Those glowing patterns. That single eye. Sometimes I heard the voice again. Faint. Under the hum of the fridge. Under the pulse in my own ears. Maybe I was going crazy. Maybe the sound had followed me. Maybe. That was the point. I moved to another city. Changed my name. Bought a small apartment facing inland. No view of water. Bolted the drive to the floor. Inside a safe. Told myself I'd wait. Wait until it felt safe. To show the world what we found. But safe never came. Years passed. The world moved on. New wars. New governments. New distractions. The ocean stayed the same. Sometimes, though, in the late hours of night, when traffic died and the world fell silent, I'd feel something hum beneath my floorboards. Soft, rhythmic, like a heartbeat. Maybe it was nothing. Maybe it was them. 15 years later, my phone lit up. No caller ID. No subject line. Just a message. It's waking up again. Attached, a video. Grainy. Timestamp flickering. A deep sea mining operation. In the South Pacific. At first, just murky water and bubbles. Then, the sonar feed came into view. Shapes. Dozens of them. Not fast. Not chaotic. Deliberate. The same pulse. The same rhythm. The same message. You should not have come back. I opened the safe. My hands shook as I pulled the old drive out, its casing cold, as the day I first touched it. Carver's voice echoed in my head. They'll come for this. For us. Be ready. I had nowhere to run. Nowhere left to hide. So, I didn't. I uploaded everything. The sonar. The video. The voice. All of it. Sent to news outlets. To whistleblower sites. To every corner of the web. Then, I waited. The world didn't take long to notice. Within hours, the footage went viral. Within days, governments were forced to respond. Half the scientists called it a hoax. The other half refused to comment, and the rest went missing. Still, the video spread faster than anyone could contain it. And then, ships appeared. They rose from the ocean, like monuments, not human ships. Smooth, organic, alive. Covered in veins of light that pulsed like slow thunder. They didn't fire weapons, didn't move aggressively. They just watched. Every sonar buoy, every naval satellite, every radar station, all went dark at once. And then the message came. Not through radio. Not through satellites. Through every screen, every speaker, every connected device on Earth. A voice. Deep. Layered. Inhuman. Speaking in every language. At once. You were told to stay above. To leave the depths alone. But you did not listen. Now the shepherds return. To reclaim what was always theirs. Then, silence. I remember stepping out onto my balcony, watching the night sky light up in colors I'd never seen before. Whole coastlines glowing blue, green, gold, like veins under the skin of the planet. People screamed, prayed, filmed, and I just stood there, because I knew what my father had seen, what Carver had warned me about, what we'd all ignored. They weren't coming to conquer. They were coming to correct. The first thing the world lost was sound. Not all at once. It happened in waves. First the radios went quiet, then the satellites, then the ocean sensors. By the third day, every communication channel on Earth had gone dark. The silence was unnatural. Like the planet itself was holding its breath, waiting for something to speak. And then, they did. The ships didn't move at first. They just hovered. Impossible. Weightless. Cutting through the clouds like silver scars. Every coastline became a place of pilgrimage. People stood on beaches and rooftops, pointing phones that no longer connected to anything. Governments sent drones. None returned. Navies launched missiles. Every single one dissolved before impact, not exploded. Erased. Like the air itself refused to carry violence toward them. The shepherds didn't fight back. They didn't need to. They were watching, studying, counting. I stayed inside. Curtains drawn. Laptop dark. The streets outside my apartment had turned into quiet panic. Sirens blaring. People shouting without words that made sense. It didn't matter. None of it mattered. Because I knew what was coming. I'd seen the eye. On the fourth night, the power grid failed, not flickered. failed. Every bulb, every circuit, every device went black. Cities became shadows of themselves. I lit a candle. The flame trembled in the dark, like it knew something I didn't. Then came the hum. Low, deep, vibrating through the floorboards, like the pulse from the footage. Slow, steady, patient. I stepped to the window, and there, on the horizon, above the ocean, I saw them, dozens of ships, moving now, each one glowing with veins of light that pulsed in perfect rhythm, like the earth had grown a heartbeat of its own. At dawn, the message returned. This time, only 3 words appeared on every screen that could still display light. Ritiuarnen. To be elbow. I don't know how long I've been here. Days. Years. There's no difference anymore. The air holds itself still, as if counting the seconds that no longer matter. But sometimes, when the lights dim and everything goes quiet, I see a figure at the edge of the reflection, sitting by a window, hands on his knees, staring at nothing. A soft breath catches, then fades, and I hear his voice, faint, calm, almost proud. Now you know, son. The ocean always remembers. The sound lingers, like a ripple that refuses to die. They call it the Mirror Sea. Not that anyone here really calls it anything. Most have stopped speaking altogether. But that's what it looks like. A perfect reflection of the world we lost. The sky above us a moving sheet of water. The ground below, a memory of sand that doesn't leave footprints. A quiet beat passes before the next thought dares to rise. When I first arrived here, I thought it was some kind of afterlife. The calm felt fake. The air too still. But the longer I stayed, the more I realized it wasn't heaven. It wasn't hell, either. It was a waiting room. For what? I still don't know. Silence stretches, like it's waiting for an answer I can't give. There are others, hundreds maybe. They wander, talk to themselves, sit near the mirror edge, as if waiting for something to climb out. At night, if there's even such a thing here, we can see our reflections moving slightly out of sync. A heartbeat slower, a breath behind. Sometimes they smile when we don't. Sometimes they just watch. A tremor of thought passes, then everything stills again. One woman, the one who found me when I first woke up, said, she thinks those aren't reflections at all. They're us, she whispered once. But the versions that never touched the deep. I wanted to laugh, but couldn't. Because when I looked closer, her reflection wasn't doing the same thing. She was. It was whispering something else. Mouth moving in silence. Repeating a single word I couldn't hear. The silence after that word felt heavier than speech. Food isn't necessary here. Sleep doesn't come naturally either. You just drift. Thoughts move slower. The heartbeat inside your chest sinks with something else. A rhythm deep below your feet. A faint pulse answers from under the ground. patient, endless. Sometimes we feel tremors, like enormous wings unfolding in the distance. That's when the water above changes color. Dark blue to silver, then white. And we see them again. The shepherds. Even the word seems to echo back on itself before fading. They move in herds, slow, deliberate, glowing in patterns that could be language or heartbeat, or both. Some as large as continents, some small, almost human-shaped, always watching. When they pass, everyone stops whatever they're doing. It's not fear. It's something worse. Recognition. Like we've been animals, trying to name our keepers for centuries. And now we finally remember the word. The thought lands, then drifts away into quiet. Last week, or maybe last century, time is useless here. A group tried to leave. They walked toward the horizon, where the mirror water meets the glass sky. I followed, out of instinct more than hope. Each step sounded like a question left unanswered. They reached the edge. The water rippled. For a second, I saw another world on the other side. Cities, storms, clouds, earth. Then, the surface cracked open. Light poured through, white and violent, swallowing them whole. When it closed, there was nothing left. No sound, no trace. Just ripples fading into stillness. The world waited, and then forgot. The woman next to me whispered. They were chosen. Her voice trembled like she wanted to believe it. I didn't answer, because deep down I knew. This place doesn't choose. It keeps. A long pause follows, heavy as water. The nights, if you can call them that, bring the dreams. Not mine, theirs. When I close my eyes, I see what they see, the old world underwater, machines rusting like bones, lights flickering in black cities, people floating in silence. I see how they move between the ruins, collecting, rearranging, preserving, like curators in a museum of extinction. And I feel something else, not hatred, not anger, just disappointment. The word fades like breath on glass. We were given the surface, the light, the warmth, and we dug through it, tore it open to find what lay beneath. Like children breaking a toy to see how it worked. The shepherds didn't kill us for that. They couldn't. Because they'd built us. The silence that follows feels almost kind. One night, I walked until I reached the edge of the sea again. Knelt beside the reflection. For a moment, it looked normal. My face, pale and thin, staring back. Then the reflection blinked. Not me. It blinked first. Its lips moved, slow and careful. And I finally heard the word it had been trying to say all along. Remember. The word ripples outward, echoing through the stillness like a pulse. Then, the surface rippled, and the reflection became something else. Not me, not human, not whole. Eyes like deep water, skin glowing with that faint bioluminescent pulse. The voice came again, soft and heavy. You were made to remember us. A quiet hum fills the space between thoughts. The water trembled. Shapes moved beneath the surface, massive, coiling, patient. You were never meant to rule the light. You were meant to carry it. I stumbled back. My hands burned where droplets had touched my skin. The glow stayed. Faint veins of blue beneath my flesh. The air trembled with the sound of something alive, but unseen. When I turned, others were watching. Their arms glowing too. Their eyes reflecting the same impossible light. We weren't just prisoners. We were becoming something else. Now, when the shepherds pass overhead, they no longer watch us. They move slower, closer, as if waiting for us to join them. Maybe that's what this place is. A bridge. A womb. A process of turning us into whatever they are. A beat of silence stretches. Even thought hesitates to move. Sometimes I wonder if my father's already one of them. If he's out there, among those lights, guiding them through the dark. I hope so. Because the more I feel the glow spread through me, the less I remember what it meant to be human. And maybe that's mercy. Maybe the shepherds weren't our end after all. Maybe they were our beginning. The glow never left my hands. At first, it was faint, a shimmer beneath the skin, like veins catching moonlight. Now it spreads, slow and constant, crawling up my arms, across my neck. The others are changing too. Every face carries that same dull radiance, as if something inside is waking. A hush follows, deep enough to feel, not here. We don't talk about it anymore. There's no need. Words feel small here. This place doesn't understand sound. It understands rhythm. Every heartbeat, every breath, every thought hums in the same frequency. It's like we're all connected now. One pulse. One mind, stretching through the stillness. And somewhere, beneath it all, they're listening. The air holds its breath, once more before letting the next moment arrive. The shepherds have moved closer. We can see their silhouettes through the mirror water above. Massive, drifting, impossible. Each one glows like a constellation, turning slowly in the black. When they pass, the ground hums, and the pulse inside us quickens until it hurts. I tried to count them once. Gave up at 47. Because I realized something halfway through. They weren't multiplying. They were merging. Joining together, their light fusing until it became one shape. One body. One presence, so vast it made everything around it vanish. And in the silence that followed, a single thought entered my head. Not mine, not human. The convergence has begun. A deep quiet settles, stretching longer than breath. The woman who once told me about the reflections. She's different now. Her eyes glow brighter than the rest of us. When she moves, the air ripples. She doesn't eat, doesn't rest. Sometimes, she just stands by the water, head tilted, as if listening to a voice we can't hear. Yesterday, she said something. First words I've heard in weeks. They're teaching us. The silence, after the sentence, felt like a lesson too. I asked her what she meant, but she didn't answer. She just smiled, soft, absent, and touched the side of my face. Her fingers left trails of light where they passed. That night, I dreamed again. But it wasn't a dream. It felt sent. The light always hides one more depth. I don't know if that's a warning or an invitation. Last time I slept, if you can still call what happens here sleep, I saw the surface again. It was dead. No clouds, no waves, just still water, reflecting the sky like a perfect mirror. Cities stood silent beneath the glass, frozen, preserved, untouched by decay. No humans, no movement, only echoes. And then I saw one, a child, walking across that mirrored ocean, like it was solid ground. He stopped, looked down, and smiled. His eyes glowed, the same color as mine. He pressed his hand against the surface, and the reflection rippled. Then another hand pressed back. From below, the child didn't pull away. He whispered something I couldn't hear. Then both him and his reflection merged. When I woke, the glow in my skin had changed again. Brighter, thicker, almost liquid. It moves under the surface, now, slow, alive. Sometimes it escapes through my fingertips, dripping into the air, like drops of molten light. When they hit the ground, the mirror ripples, and I see places, memories. My father, his ship. The moment he looked into the dark and saw the eye. He wasn't afraid then. Not really. He was waiting. Waiting for me. To see what he saw. To finish what he couldn't. And maybe that's why I was chosen. Because I carry his fear, his awe, his need to understand awe. I carry both sides. Human curiosity, shepherd memory, two halves of a wound that never healed. The woman, the one who sank, she's back. Not in body, but in the water. Sometimes the surface shifts, and her face appears just beneath, looking up at me. Not sad, not lost, just watching. Today she spoke again, through the ripples. Her voice wasn't hers anymore. Layered, endless, echoing. You are not here to die. You are here to bridge I whispered back, not sure if the sound even mattered. Bridge what? The water shimmered, and her reflection smiled. What was left above, and what waits below. Then she faded. Since then, I've felt the pull stronger. It's like the whole sea breathes around me. In, out, and out. And I'm caught in the rhythm. I can't resist it anymore. The glow has spread across my chest, my face, my eyes. I don't cast a shadow now. I am one. When I look into the mirror water, my reflection doesn't mimic me. It studies me, tilts its head, curious. Sometimes it mouths words before I do. Last time, I understood them. It said, "They're waiting for you to remember." Maybe the shepherds aren't gods. Maybe they're just archivists, collecting what their children forgot. Maybe we weren't punished. Maybe we were brought home. Still, I can't shake this thought. If I'm a bridge, then something's meant to cross. But which way? Them to us, or us to them? The glow answers in rhythm, each pulse slower than the last, almost like it's counting down. I think the crossing is coming, and I'm the key. The light inside me doesn't pulse anymore. It breathes. I can feel it. Slow, steady, like lungs that belong to something older than I am. Each inhale isn't air, but memory. Each exhale, something I didn't know I remembered. It started 3 nights ago. If nights even exist here. The mirror sea began to tilt, like gravity had finally remembered which way was down, and the sky started to ripple. The world is folding in on itself. I stand at the edge now. The others are gone, or merged. I can't tell which anymore. Their lights drift beneath the surface, weaving together like strands of silk. Every once in a while, I see a face I recognize. A flash of eyes, a smile, then gone again, absorbed into the glow. I should be afraid, but fear doesn't work here. Not anymore, because fear belongs to things that can still lose something. The voice has changed too. It's not a whisper anymore. It's a choir, thousands of tones, blending into one living harmony. The surface has fallen silent. The deep has begun to rise. When it speaks, the sea glows from horizon to horizon, and the air vibrates in my bones when I don't know if it's speaking to me or through me, but when I breathe, the world breathes with me. Yesterday, I found something new, a fracture in the mirror, hairline thin, but glowing with golden light. When I touched it, it didn't feel solid. It felt like touching a heartbeat. I saw flashes, not visions, not dreams, real places, cities above, flooded, but alive. People walking through water that glowed faintly blue. Children tracing patterns in puddles that moved when they did. The shepherd's light was spreading through the oceans, the clouds, the air, through us. We didn't vanish. We became where. The woman's voice came back that night. Softer, clearer, closer. You're the anchor, she said. Without you, the crossing unravels. What crossing? I asked, though part of me already knew. The one your kind began. The moment you looked into the dark. She reached through the surface. Or maybe, I imagined it. Her fingers made of liquid light. They're not coming to destroy, she said. They're coming home. And you're the door they left open. Then she was gone again, her reflection fading into ripples. That never settled. Now the shepherds are everywhere, Not above, not below, inside. Their lights fill the sky and sea, until I can't tell where one ends and the other begins. Sometimes I see shapes forming in the glow, wings, hands, eyes, like the universe trying to remember its face. The hum has become unbearable, not painful, just complete, like the sound that plays when a machine finally finishes its purpose gone. And then I realize it's not humming anymore. It's singing. Thousands of voices, not human, but somehow familiar. A language made of breath and gravity. I can't understand the words, but I feel what they mean. We remember. We return. We rise together. Something happens to the sky. It breaks open. Not like glass, like a lung inhaling, after holding its breath too long. Light floods in, cascading through every reflection, every drop, every shadow. The sea trembles, and I fall to my knees. The glow bursts from my chest, like a flare, joining the storm above, and I see everything. The deep, the surface, the forgotten. Every ocean on earth, all connected, all alive, all breathing the same rhythm. The shepherds are merging go with the planet itself. They're not invaders. They are the earth. And we, humans, were never separate. We were the fragments of its memory that learned to stand upright and forget. Now, the memory wants to come home. I can barely see anymore. My body is light. My thoughts stretch like currents. I feel them. Billions of voices rising, from the surface, from drowned cities, from the depths. Not screams, harmony on. The crossing isn't destruction. It's synthesis. Every human, every drop of blood, every neural spark, woven back into the design that birthed it. The voice speaks one last time, not inside me, but as me. The descent was never downward, boy. It was inward one. And with that, I finally understand what the mirror ocean really is. Not a prison, not a lab, a neuron, a single thought, in the mind of something vast, something that dreams in tides and wakes in storms on, and I am its carrier. The world above is waking. I can feel it through the fractures, through the pulse that now moves with every ocean wave. The shepherds aren't rising anymore. They've already risen through us. The world above isn't blue anymore. It glows, a soft, pulsing light that rolls across continents. Like the tide used to, oceans are no longer separate from sky. Both shimmer as one vast mirror, breathing in slow rhythm. When I first see it, I almost mistake it for dawn, but there's no sun now, only light. Everywhere. The cities have returned, but not as they were. Their ruins hum, alive, with the same glow that once lived inside me. Buildings grow vines of light instead of moss. Streets pulse faintly. carrying whispers through the stone. If you listen close enough, you can still hear the echoes of human speech. Not words, memories of words. They sound like wind brushing glass. From here, I can see the mirror sea spreading inland, filling valleys and streets, connecting every piece of the old world. It moves without violence, so slow, patient, deliberate, as if it's rewriting the planet, with light instead of water. And I understand now. This isn't invasion. It's integration. We're not being replaced. We're being rewritten. Every heartbeat, every thought, every memory, once separate, now part of a single network. The earth, dreaming itself whole again. I walk, not sure if this is land or reflection anymore. Each step sends ripples of color outward, gold fading into silver, silver into blue. My reflection follows, not opposite, no, not delayed, perfectly synced. For the first time since this began, we move as one, and then it speaks. My reflection, my echo, my other self. You carried the light far enough. Its voice is mine, but older, wiser. You were never meant to stay apart. None of you were. What happens now? I ask. It smiles, faintly, sadly. Now we finish the circle. The horizon shimmers. The sea above bends downward, meeting the world below in a curve of light. The air hums. My skin dissolves into the same glow that shaped this new reality. Every atom in me vibrates with the rhythm of the ocean, the heartbeat of the planet. I see them all, the others, the ones who vanished, the ones who sank, the ones who glowed. They're here, all around me. Not ghosts, not gods, just home. The voice returns. One last time. The shepherds have rested. The deep remembers its children. The surface sings again, and then silence. No sound, no hum, just stillness. I look down. The reflection is gone. Or maybe I'm the reflection now. I reach out, touch the surface, and it's warm, alive, for the first time since the beginning. I feel something like peace, not victory, not defeat, just acceptance. They will tell stories someday, if stories still exist, of the day the oceans rose, but never fell, of the light that replaced the sun, of a world that forgot what separation meant. And maybe they'll speak my name, or maybe I'll just be the glow behind the waves, the whisper in the current, the last echo of a species that learned too late what it was meant to be. Above, below, everywhere, the world breathes. No division, no distance, only reflection. And in that reflection, something stirs, a new thought, a new consciousness, born from what we once were, the deep dreams the light answers, the mirror closes, and for the first time, the earth is whole